the president made a very direct, very difficult to misunderstand or misconstrue vow, 2022, early 2023, even before the elections, that if I do not provide electricity in 4 years, don't re-elect me.
That's perhaps the greatest weapon the opponents.
Don't re-elect me. Not only did he just not, he didn't just scratch the surface on electricity provision. The cheek of it, the utter cheek of it, he moved himself, the villa now speaking, he moved it off the national grid and left all of us to our own devices.
No,
how insensitive can the president be?
I think there's
a whopping 10 billion naira spent on that solar for the villa.
Globally. And you know, when we do comparisons, people say, why are you comparing Nigeria? But that's what we hurry to do. Everybody does it. And that's the way it should be, because we live in a global village.
We can force that.
Do you know the White House is also an alternative energy?
We cannot compare. They have electricity.
Yeah, but you see, they have electricity that's because their power lines are not outdated.
Yeah, of course.
That's because their transmission lines have been renewed, upgraded over the years. That's because the distribution lines are working perfectly. We're not at that point. We can't run away from the fact that our transmission lines are bad, that they've not been modernized in the last 20, 25 years, that attempts by various governments before President Tinubu have fallen short. You can't wish away those challenges. But also, globally, we've seen the campaign for alternative sources of energy, whether it's solar, whether it's the mini-grids and the rest of them. And when it comes to governance, you look at options. It's like agriculture. The greatest input is like the seedlings and fertilizer input. We've seen different kinds of fertilizer. We've seen seedlings coming in. When it comes to agriculture, we look at the best seedlings, we apply them. So why is it different when it comes to power? If there are alternative power sources, why do our homes, because we know we have a problem, and until that problem is solved, you need a temporary solution. We all have inverters in our home. The same thing. Why wouldn't you say, don't even use inverters at all? I'm saying this, that if the government had gone ahead to do the solar panels without concerted efforts to address our power problems, energy problems, then we have an issue. But there is a government that has increased generation from 3,800 kilowatts to over 65,000 at some point. Again, our problem is not...
I don't understand.
At 6,500.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Our problem, that's generation.
No, distribution.
Yeah, distribution. Our problem has always been transmission. That takes it to the last mile. Because I've also gone into the power lines in some of the places, broken down, attacked. Just the other day, I saw a video, on Tuesday. Power lines being caught right in my village, and they arrested them. There's a government that has set up grid asset management company. You know, constantly, within the first 4 months of his administration, he signed the Electricity Act, giving the states private sector. The question to ask is, why have the state governments and the private sector? Because they were clamoring for, when he started the PPP then, Obasanjo stopped it. And the state said, look, we can generate out. This man waited until he became president to give life to that law. That law is in place. Only about 3 or 4 or 5 states have taken it. Again, what are the states doing with the resources? So when it comes to the issue of power, it's not just the federal government. The states have a role. And the law, the enabling law to make them do that. The resources to help them do that.
Mr. Dari, you know the president more than most people. You were his chief of staff for 8 years, 7 years. So you know him very well.
I know him to some extent.
You know him very well.
To the extent of the work I had
of course,
to do with
you know
him.
him. The president has been described as a very aloof, does not even cut it, as is I don't want to say cruel, that it has no empathy. What do you think?
You know, you see, when I read it very often, I laugh. You know, is a narrative of his political opponents. And this might sound simplistic. Because for every narrative out there, there's a counter-narrative. And the counter-narrative is this. Who in this country today has built the biggest political bridges across the length and breadth of this country? President Tinubu.
He has burnt those bridges.
That's your own assertion. Who in
El
this?
Rufai is in jail as we speak.
El Rufai is not Nigeria. He's just an individual. And
So what he did for the president to become president?
See, unless you're saying that if somebody has done you one good turn, then the laws of this country should be suspended.
That's not what I'm saying.
That's it. He's been taken through the judicial process. Okay? So
He's been decommissioned from politics.
well, that's the way you see it. If the judicial process calls you in and you have to answer for what you've
He's
done.
been decommissioned from politics.
Again, I say you don't expect the president to torpedo that process. El Rufai also said some things. He stood behind the hot mic, spoke to the entire country and the entire world.
But he's entitled to bail.
You must.
The offense is available. So why is he to be granted
Nobody
bail?
he's been granted bail.
But as soon as he's granted bail, before he comes out of the court, they pick him up
Has he
again.
met the conditions for his bail?
Yes.
No. There's no way he will meet the conditions of his bail, and he will not be granted bail. Again, let's. I don't want to depart from that narrative. When you look at the people the president has built up, empowered across the length and breadth of this country without tribal marks, no leader comes close to that. You also talk about somebody who rose up to become the leading opposition leader, who beyond PDP holding 16 states, built a party that controlled 5 states. You have a president who has built his own party from the scratch. AD, AC, ACN, APC. You have a president who essentially has been recurrent in the political life of this country for over 3 decades. Risen from a senator to a governor to an opposition leader, now to a president. Who understands the problem of this country? Who was also forged in the crucible of democratic struggle, going into exile and all of that. And you simply want to dismiss that and say he doesn't care about this country. No, President Tinubu cares about this country, empathizes, is at home with the issues, the burning issues of the country. And that's why when you sit down carefully, in a clinical way, and you look at the policies, the initiatives that have come up under President Tinubu, brand new, we've never witnessed that before, you start to give him some credit. Because you must understand what the problem is before you can bring about solutions to the problem. And we have this president dealing with some of our biggest challenges as a country.
Why is the president running an insular, Yoruba-centric, even though when people say that to me, I quickly push back because I know I'm a Yoruba man and I know, it's not so much a Yoruba-centric government, but a Lagos city boy such as yourself. Even though you're not a Lagos person, but you're one of his inner circle. So why is the president stepping up on the modus operandi of President Buhari, running an insular government?
Well, I wouldn't describe this. President Tinubu is not running an insular government. Oftentimes perception is diverse.
Can I help you, Honorable Minister?
No, I know the data you want to bring up.
The commanding heights of the economy.
I know. So you see,
registrar, although he did left,
and the young one. So you must also.
The entirety of Nigeria, nobody.
Okay, so only one person is elected president, and you must give the president the benefit of the doubt to choose the men.
Yeah.
While you are looking at the people being chosen as Yoruba men, he's looking at them as Nigerians who are competent. You can't take that away. What if he decides to say this is the competent person I want to put? That's why one person is president. That's why all of us are first and foremost Nigerians. Before I'm a Yoruba man, I'm a Nigerian. What is my Yorubaness without a Nigerian state? And that's why you elect one president. You invest him with so much powers under the Constitution to decide. The same way the president decides is Mr. A that will do this job. He can also take the decision, we're going to go to war or not. Why don't we question when he says we're going to go to war? So we must give him, we can get bogged down in the metrics of it. But I also know that you must give the president that benefit of the doubt. if it turns out that, oh, we're seeing more people from the Yoruba, whatever, perhaps what we should interrogate is, are these people as Nigerians competent? Do they have the merit for it? We should move that conversation to that level.
Is the president, you said he is a Democrat, right? You believe the president is a Democrat?
Yes.
You believe so?
His feet is set in the wet. Is set in wet cement.
As a Democrat?
As a progressive, is one person I know that's never crossed from one party to another and who has remained in the progressive rank.
Does the president believe in democracy, multi-party democracy?
Absolutely.
Why are the president's men destroying or destabilizing political parties?
Where is your proof for that?
There's this shadowy group of characters called themselves incorporated trustees of former legislators. The alter ego of that group is a certain Chijoke or something, Raphael. Is an aide of Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, Chief of Staff to the President. They were the ones that went to court to register this fight. Don't fail.
No. Listen. I don't know about that group. I don't know about that.
They went to court. Hold on, sir. They went to court to deregister these 5 political parties. And the defendants ran to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal mandated the trial judge, Mr. Peter Alif, to stay action.
Right.
He came quickly on Monday morning and gave this verdict. Now, mercifully, the appeal court, again, swiftly, on Tuesday, suspended state action on that. Here's where I'm going to. If you say the president believes in democracy and multi-party democracy, why would the president want to be coronated in 2027 rather than having a free, fair, credible contest, as he did in 2023?
So nobody's talking about a coronation.
Well, that's what it looks
like.
It
looks like that, but that's not it. You can't walk away from the self-inflicted. No. You see the narrative. You see, look. No. You talk about PDP. We know the crisis that engulfed the PDP, and people try to blame the president for it. At the point, they said the president wanted to impose a one-party state, and then we saw NDC registered, ADC registered. We saw other parties registered. That argument died.
No, it didn't die.
Of course. We have other parties registered. Again, it's easy to blame the president, but also we have a process. A court issued, the group you talk about, I don't know about them, and that's the truth.
Why did the Attorney General join himself in that case anyway?
Well, I can't speak for the Attorney General.
But
I'm saying that they went to court. Another court judgment has come. Yes. Can we let the process go on?
I'm interested. Nigerians are interested.
And because it's in court, I can't even comment too much about it.
Why is the Attorney General of the Federation, who is the only office, is the only minister inserted in our constitution, why is he interested? What is his interest in this case of deregistration?
The Attorney General of the Federation, you must also give him the benefit of the doubt, because I don't have the entirety of what the case is about.
This is why people are saying the fingers of the presidency, the fingers of the president is all over.
All right, so let me tell you something. By God's grace, I was once a Minister of Youth and Sports. Yes. And there were policies and programs that came up. And within that space of youth development and sports, I became more like an expert, drawing on expertise and global practices and also the laws of the country. And oftentimes I've had to take decision as a minister, which is expected of you, without recourse to the president, because I will look at the data I have, I will say which protects the interests of the country, and I'll go in that direction without recourse to the president. So, when you talk about the Attorney General, I'm not the Attorney General. I give you the benefit of doubt as a minister. What were the legal issues? What were the precedents, condition precedents before that time, etc., before he moved in? I'm sure if you get him on this seat, and you ask him, because it's someone that does not shy away from a legal conversation, he's going to open it up. But I'm limited in that sphere. But I'm giving you the benefit of my own, as a former minister, where I've taken policy decisions on behalf of the Nigerian government when it comes to youth development
Believing you are
and
acting
sports.
in good faith on behalf of the country.
Yes.
But this is in terrible bad taste, definitely.
Well, that's
Let me ask you this as we wind down. The House of Reps, minority caucus in the House of Reps, met yesterday, and they gave the president a warning, very serious warning, that he either sits up, does the job, especially this insecurity, or resigns. How do you respond to that?
Well, he's just playing to the gallery. The president is doing the job. Unless people deliberately suffering from selective perceptions, how do you sit in this country and say the president is doing nothing? Doing something starts from recognizing that you have the challenge of insecurity. Doing something is increasing the defense budget by 51% and taking it to the same House of Representatives for approval. Doing something is changing your service chiefs, changing your IG, just retweaking the military command to make sure you have the effectiveness. When you look at the last change, 2 or 3 of them that came right from the theater of war. They had to have the experience, the theater of war experience. Why do you say the president is doing nothing when we have seen counter-insurgency operations succeed across the length and breadth of our country? Why would you say the president is doing nothing when he has traveled to Turkey and other places? When you see the level, unprecedented level of collaboration between Nigeria and the US, we're seeing what is coming in. We're seeing American servicemen on ground. Why would you say he's doing nothing? Now, if you say he needs to do more, absolutely. But that's also conditioned on the resources we have, the time for the delivery of the weapons and the attack helicopters. That's also dependent on increasing. Imagine if every president had increased our police force by a minimum of 100,000 in the last 15 years. That's 1.6 million. So governance is also what you inherit. And you cannot do it in a quantum. You can't come in and say, let's employ 1 million people. So the president is doing something, and there are clear markers. It's evidential that he's doing something. So that call for him to, sit up, no, the president is on his seat. He's doing what is necessary. He needs the support of the members of the House of Representatives and the National Assembly and that of Nigerians, and their understanding to say this fight is for all of us, and the understanding that someday the country will overcome its security challenges.
When do we have, in 30 seconds, when do we have these students captured in Ogbomoso? When do we have them? When are they coming out?
Well, what I know is that the line of communication has been opened. Ordinarily the security people will not put that out in the open. But I know that the efforts are concerted. And I think when even Governor Makinde spoke a few days ago, he gave an insight. And to the point saying, look, I'm even ready to lay down my life. I think the entire country has kind of been on the freeze because of those children and the teachers that are there. But we must also connect what, the other kidnapped victims across the country, and that similar effort. So Ogbomoso, Oyo is important. What's happening in Niger State and the rest is also important. And I think that the fact that we've not had them free means that government wants to avoid collateral damage, meaning to the minimal level.
It will be remiss of me if I don't ask you, under your watch, Super Eagles did not qualify for Qatar World Cup. Super Eagles is not at the ongoing US-Mexico-Canada World Cup.
Well, under my watch, we got under my watch. Okay, let me finish.
Where did we drop the ball? Two consecutive or three consecutive?
So let me two now. Okay. Under my watch, we got as far as the last point of qualification, and we dropped by 1 point, technical point. Yep. Again, I say, just as life is not 100%, sports is not 100%. I did a statement after we did not. When Ghana came here and we had 1-1, we had played a draw. But when you score away, there's an extra point. That technical point, and we went the whole process. Sports not 100%, but I also did say that there are lessons learned. Now, we did not qualify this time again. We saw the efforts put in. And it has to do also with the DNA of our football. Where we have departed from the DNA of our football, these problems come. There are other problems, funding and the rest. But critically, we know that our DNA of our football is building our team collaboratively with home-based and foreign-based players. When you assemble foreign players 10 days before a tournament, they come from 10 different coaches, 10 different playing styles. If they're the best player in their team, it takes it. Then we have the campaign plan. West Half and the rest, there's a way our players count. You play, you go and play for your club, you return to the camp in Surulere. So the blending is a constant blending so that the team builds up into something. And then you look at the fact that we've not had the best coaches. We've not had the best gaffers over time. Now, we're at a point now we've seen a coach who was never given any chance at all. We're seeing the blending. They've gone until the game they lost against Portugal last week, 2-1. They went with a streak of not losing any game. Even Nigerians are saying, look, this is beginning to come alive. When it comes to football success, there are building blocks. You must have a coach. You must build a team around both locals and international. You must have a campaign strategy to make sure you keep them together, you blend them. You must have proper funding. And I think we're getting to that point. Unfortunately, we're not at the current World Cup, but I can assure you the Nigerian football is looking up. Our local leagues, the Premier League is looking up. The stadiums are filling up. And I'm sure that when the next World Cup comes, Nigeria will be there.